Okay, welcome back. Wine Simple Happy Hour Talk. Looks like we have another Instagram is again frozen. Let me text Shakira just to have her back on. Up. Hello to Kirchenwirt. There you go. And now welcome back for another Wine Simple Happy Hour Talk at 5 o'clock. We're just waiting for Shakira. Looks like she's connecting. Raising money. Just a quick charity thing. We are raising money for City Harvest and also on GoFundMe for my family at Le Bernadin and Aldo Sohm Wine Bar. So I know it's been an interesting time to say the least, but we are hanging together with that. And we're gonna get out together from this situation. So, well, let me introduce Shakira a little bit. She is not from the industry, even though when she talks, you will realize very quickly she could be from this industry. She is, when I've met her the first time at the wine bar, she's an absolute energy bundle, and her passion, it just spills over. And yeah, thank you, Shakira, for being on here.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yeah. So
this is like old times.
How did you meet at the wine bar?
Oh man, it's not far from my office and I like coming there. It's always a great energy. It's good music. It's a good mix of people. And I'm very observant. So I observed something and you walked in and I asked you a question about it and you were very candid in your answer and it was a lengthy answer. And I think from that point on, I've tortured you and had different, very in-depth questions for you every time I've been.
The story of my life. We had a connection immediately, it felt.
Immediately.
Yeah. So even though, and I like that candid, straightforward questions when you make people talk. Now, pointing quickly one thing out, Wine Simple is not necessarily for industry professionals, it's actually for people who make wine accessible. The same mantra we have at the wine bar as well. And, reach out in hands to people and pull them in, bring, lighten up their passion and let the fire burn and then, let the passion take care of it itself. So
yep.
What I like, the reason why I invited you, because I thought you're in the tech world. This is your main job. You're not in the wine world.
No.
And I have to ask you a question because I went recently to Verve and did a Wine Simple presentation and there you worked.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously this is the story of my life. When I grew up as a wine professional, there was no hour too long, there was no mile too far. And friends often question me, are you crazy? You have a day job and then you're working extra on top of it, right? Because I saw an advantage seeing this training with this person or I had another trainer there, and this seemed to be too obvious not to take advantage of this, having this opportunity, because when you're young, you want to gather information and learn from the very best people, whoever that is.
Right. When you're old too. I think, yes, I do work part-time at Verve too, but it's, when we had a conversation about the book, what did I say to you? How is it you run the Bernadin's wine program and the wine bar, and you still found time to cycle and to write a book? That's insane to me. But you're so passionate about it. It's something that you wanted to do. And I think that we all make sacrifices for the things that we love. I don't think I'll ever be a somm on the floor anywhere. But I do think that if I want to put myself in a position of teaching people about wine and encouraging them to dive deeper, I need to know what I'm talking about. And working in a wine shop, especially one like Verve, you get to talk firsthand with people and understand what kind of questions do they ask when they're coming in to buy wine. What are the things, if they stay away from the Northern Rhone section, why is that? Like, how do they perceive those wines? And then you hone your skills of talking to people about wine and getting them comfortable.
You actually answered my second question already. What drives you on wine? Why do you find it so interesting? Because that's obviously very different what you do typically.
My job is stressful, so I drink a lot. That's one thing. But one of someone that's become a dear friend to me that I've met through Instagram, her name is Larissa. One of her key things is that wine is a passport. And wine can take you so many places. Every grape, I mean, different blocks on the same vineyard can present so differently. And I think that wine is a unifier. It's a universal language. You know what I mean? I think that everyone can enjoy it with the right ambassador. If I plopped you in another country where you don't speak the language, you don't understand what anyone's saying, it would seem intimidating and unapproachable. And I can see how people find wine to be that way, but it doesn't have to be. And there's a translator for that. And there's a way to start understanding it, like Wine Simple, right? It helps break down a lot of the intimidation stuff.
That's the idea, you know. I mean, how to make people excited rather than make them intimidated, and make it also fun, you know. Always is good to have people smile, because the moment learning becomes fun, it becomes easy.
It does. I mean, I think that so many people, we're around enough people in the same spaces to understand exactly why some people will find wine absolutely intimidating. You know, that there are some people that go out of their way to intentionally make it more intimidating to people. Where for me, the first question is, do you like it or not? And if you don't like it, that's totally okay. But if I'm going to recommend something to you, then I want to know, what didn't you like about it? Right? Oh, it's too bitter. Hey, you probably don't like very tannic wines. So let's go with something more fruit forward, right?
People
It's
get
not
often
that
hung up by
hard.
that. People get hung up by that. You know, you might offend me. No, you offend me when you don't tell me, because this is such an easy fix.
But people, you know, like between all the Saw movies and all of the and platforms like Instagram, right? You guys are like the rock stars of wine. And I think that people don't realize that you're just people that really like wine and actually really like helping your guest enjoy wine. So, I mean, I've had people say to me, oh, I don't know if you're going to like this because it's not expensive. Half my wine in my house isn't very expensive at all. Some of my favorite wines to drink are under $30. Now, I also have an unhealthy addiction to white Burgundy, and that's not cheap, and Volnay. But most of the wines I drink day to day are super approachable and super delicious. And that's something that I love about the wine bar is that, yeah, if you want to drink a really expensive bottle one night, you can have it. Or you can have a great glass of Albarino or a Gruner Veltliner that's just delicious. No pretense, no anything.
What I find when I met you, I looked at your Instagram handle, and it's quite a handle.
It is.
What inspired you to bring a Black Girls Dine too?
So I have
Because that
always,
obviously has a cultural explosiveness in there.
yeah, I know. I mean, well, one, I'm Black, right? That's a thing. And that's okay. I don't try to hide that. But I also think that when I went to NYU and I had a lot of friends that had a very different upbringing from me and were very used to, like, when their parents would come and take us to dinner, it would be, let's go to Gotham or let's go to Balthazar, or, you know, like places that I did not grow up going, hi, Liz. Not places that I was used to going, but I would go there and the food would be great. I didn't think it was anything that anyone else couldn't enjoy. But if I looked around, I was the only person that looked like me that was dining, not necessarily a part of the service team, but the only one that was dining. And so I started to go, well, you know what? Maybe I should showcase that, like, we do this too. And then you watch shows like Top Chef and you see Chef Adrian that was at Le Bernadin for a while. You know what I mean? But people are not used to seeing before. Now it's very different. But I think that there was a time when people were not used to seeing people that looked like me, either in the kitchen or in the dining room very often. And so I just used that page to showcase, like, I've been doing this for a long time. This is very, very normal for me.
To me too.
I know.
That's why I think, listen, we're humans. We have a place for all forces here, you know. So it's good. You know, and that's why I enjoy hanging out with you, because you bring so much energy. That's the beauty about it. And sure enough, if I'm not in a good mood and I see you, that puts for sure a smile in my face.
Same.
Happiness.
Same.
So you grew up in Belize, right?
So I moved to America. I was born in Belize. We moved to America when I was 6.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up, but I got shipped home every summer. As soon as
You got
school
shipped
ended,
home?
shipped home every summer. As soon as school ended, I was on a plane going back to Belize. And then once school was about to start again, I would come back. So yeah, I was born in Belize and grew up here in New York.
And
You
I
didn't
saw,
ask the second part.
I didn't ask the second one. No, because when I read your bio, one thing caught my eye immediately, that your father actually was the driving force
Yes.
of you discovering. And I have a second question right sitting after that one.
Okay. Well, my dad's amazing. I think he's the most awesome guy ever. But we did not, one, we're from a country in Central America where a lot of cultures around us come together. Belize is uniquely placed in that almost the whole country is either bi or trilingual, but the national language is English. So we were used to having in our native cuisine, there is a lot of African influence, there's Caribbean influence, there's a lot of Latin American and Spanish influence in what we eat. So our national kind of culinary palette is very, very broad. And then when we came to America, there were still working immigrants, but every Sunday, my dad worked construction. So he met people from all over the world. Like he would just be like, "Oh, we're going to this Ukrainian restaurant." What? Or we're going to go to this Russian restaurant, or we're going to go to this German place, or we're going to go to this Indian place. And every Sunday we would go to literally another ethnic neighborhood in New York and we'd eat. And we'd have the same thing. It's like, listen, we just need to know what it is. Like and to this point, to this day, I don't like being surprised. Like you can't hand me a plate and go, "Oh, try it," and then I'll tell you what it is. Tell me what it is, and then I'll try it. But I'm willing to try pretty much everything except for 2 things. I don't want to try dog or cat. That's it. And so that became, even things I didn't like, which is why I love Sarah's project, because my dad would be like, maybe it's the sauce that you don't like. Maybe it's not that. And so we tried again somewhere else. Like I don't like okra to this day, but my dad made me eat okra
Really?
everywhere. No, I just don't like it.
Okay.
But we would try it everywhere because he's like, maybe you didn't like it in that dish. Try it somewhere else. Try it somewhere else. After a while, thank God, he's finally given up and accepted that I just don't like okra. But my dad, in 2 very specific ways, like one, he always was an example of we can connect with anyone. Like at the end, we're just people, no matter where we're from or what we're eating or what we're drinking, we're just people. And 2, that food has the power to bring us together in the most unique and amazing way. And my dad is like me. My dad will talk to anybody. If you get cornered by him, good luck, because he won't stop talking to you. And I think I can be the same way. But yes, my dad, both my parents, but my dad, when it comes to being interested in really immersing myself in the culinary world and wine, it's definitely the influence of my dad.
This is the wonderful thing, because we have a similar path, just switched. In Austria, obviously, we didn't have as exposed to different cultures in terms of the culinary experience. Now it's better. But I did the same with wine. And I found it amazing how, when you try this wine from Germany, then you try a wine from France, then you try a wine from America or Chile or Argentina. You get onto a travel, a ritual travel, and you can learn and study and learn about different cultures. And you learn immediately every culture has its pros and its cons, but it makes it interesting.
Yeah.
To discover, because my culture is certainly not perfect. Anyone's culture is perfect. We have our pros and our cons, and this is what it is. We have to make the best out of it. We have one big question, because I see Mary is asking, who was on yesterday, what are we drinking?
Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to very much enjoy this time with my dear friend Aldo by drinking something that I love from the wine bar. I see Natasha on here. Actually, you had this with me. This is, sorry, This is one of the Négociant projects by Jean-Louis Chave. This is the 2017 Office. It's Saint Joseph, 100% Syrah. It is delicious. It's super easy drinking. It's tasty. It's not as serious as a lot of other Northern Rhone wines can be. But I think that for somebody that is exploring their palate and trying to get more into bigger, bolder styles of red tannic wines, I think that this is a great entrance to that. It's a great price point and it's delicious.
Yeah, and from obviously and a winemaker with enormous amount of history under his belt. And I mean, they go 1,000 years back, not in Saint Joseph, but in Hermitage. And obviously, he's with no question one of the very most famous and best producers in France.
He's on my bucket list of people to meet.
Yeah, very, very good wine to drink. And like you said, it's accessible because often Northern Rhone wines are Syrah-based wines. They can be, for someone who is not used to it, they challenge you.
Yeah.
They challenge the drinker. It's not as easy going as a smooth Shiraz or a bigger, bolder Cabernet. They have fire. There's a fierceness in it.
I love it though. I mean, Syrah is hands down my favorite red grape. I love it, but I also like very tannic wines. I love the depth and the earthiness and the smokiness of them. But you know, that comes up a lot with newer drinkers too, and helping them to understand, like, there are some wines that if you drink it right now where you are in your wine journey, you're not going to like it. It's not going to taste good to you. It doesn't matter if Aldo Sohm loves it or anybody else loves it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And it could be, you know, I use the example of when people try to go from like drinking a Frappuccino to black coffee. That doesn't work, right? You have to start like, all right, I'll put 4 sugars instead of 8. I'll start going from whole milk to skim milk. It's gradual. And I think that all of these wines can become approachable. And it's why I encourage people to, whatever you like, pick that grape and drink it from all over the world. Find everywhere that it's grown and drink it there and compare and learn the differences. And then you go, all right, well, if you like that grape, well, you try this one too, because this one is kind of like it. So you might like that as well. Sorry, somebody else is asking about this wine again. It is this one.
Jean-Louis Chave, the Négociant.
So good.
Label.
Good, man.
So I look over your Instagram, and we know why typically my job is to read people's palates. When I look over your Instagram, with all the respect, this is all over the place. I see there's a Whispering Angel for rosé. Then I see there's Spanish wine on there, and then I see French wine, and then I see California again. Where's your sweet spot?
Oh, it's Spain. Like everybody that follows me, that before this that knew me is absolutely going to say it is 100% Spain. I love the wines of Spain. I think that Spain is probably Spain and Portugal, but my sweet spot is Spain. I think those wines are super, super, super approachable. I think they're delicious. I think they taste good. I think they have amazing quality and value there. See, look, all about Spain. Love Spain. But I think it's important, like right now, my lives are all about the journey through the 18 noble grapes, right? Because there's going to be a grape you don't like at all. No matter where I tell you to drink it from, you're just going to go, eh. I know a lot of people that don't like Gewurz at all, ever. But I think that you can drink everything. You do that. You are always looking for the wines that you've never had before. You know, Whispering Angel is not my favorite rosé, but if you're just getting into rosés, I don't think it's a bad wine at all.
Perfect
now,
start.
I'm drinking, I like Domainat, I like Domaine Tempier, like those are the rosés that I enjoy drinking. But I think that if you came with a bottle of Whispering Angel, Rock Angel, right, which is that's the level up. Those are great wines. They're not bad. So I try on Instagram to deliberately encourage people to drink from all over. But if you follow me enough and you follow my stories, you know that I love no country on earth for wine like I do Spain.
Now, I know your knowledge is secure enough because I hear this all the time. People say Spain. What does that really mean? Because Spain is a rather large country with a ton of varieties.
So
And we
I
have a
think,
new development in Spain also.
which one? Spain wine laws change way too frequently.
Yeah.
With cava now, with all of these things. So somebody wrote that Whispering Angel is swill. Somebody's swill is still a good wine to them. There are much worse rosés that you can drink than Whispering Angel. So when I say Spain, the country, I think that Spain offers something for if you are just getting into wine, you can go to Green Spain, right? You can drink all the Albarino. Those are delicious, crisp, refreshing wines. They're not expensive. You can go to Basque Country. You can drink Chocolat, which is super, super good, right?
Especially in the summer.
Right? Or you can, if you are more into your reds, you can go to Rioja, you can go to Ribera del Duero. There are some amazing projects now in Gredos and Madrid. And so I think that Spain as a country, you can go anywhere you want to go. You can develop your palate the way you want to. And I think that people are more likely to experiment because they're not expensive, right? I mean, you can buy 08 Lopez de Heredia now for $40. That's a great wine. It's aged incredibly well. The production is delicious. I've never had a bad wine from them. And if you don't like it, you're not going to feel that bad pouring $40 down the drain. I mean, you shouldn't pour it down the drain, make sangria or something. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that people are more comfortable. For America, I think for most people that are not into wine, $20, $25 is as high as they're willing to go.
See, that's interesting because that's why I asked specifically the question. We always see Spain with Rioja or Cava or Ribera del Duero. But you mentioned Gredos, which is one of the hottest areas right now in terms of Grenache, but it doesn't taste like Chateauneuf du Pape. Or
Yep.
talking about Galicia, when you go to Ribera Sacra and you drink Mencia, which come very, very close, again, to the Northern Rhone, what you're currently drinking. So
Absolutely.
there's a ton of, yeah.
There's you can draw all of these parallels to all of these different wines. And I just think that it's a great country for seasoned palates to continue to explore. I mean, Landy Jimenez, I love every single wine that they make. I literally think I have all of them here.
Yeah.
But if you're just starting to drink, a bottle of Chocolat is what, $8, $10? And that's just a good light white wine.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
We have a question here. What about Italian wines? I'm drinking one actually, to be very honest.
Ooh.
Going down
Where's
to
that
Etna.
from? Etna Rosa? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Those volcanic soils are really good.
Nerello Mascalese, it's super tasty.
So funny enough, Italy is probably my weakest area of wine knowledge.
There's no such thing as weak.
My least developed and explored area of wine. I don't know. I don't drink very many Italian wines at all. I love Chianti when I can get it. I love wines from Etna Rosso. I love the taste of any wine from volcanic soils. They're delicious. But if anything else is available, I'll likely drink something else. But I think that I don't have any Italian wines that I've had that I don't like. It's just not it's not the area that I love the most. But it does encourage me to study it more. I love Nero Diablo. I think that those are approachable wines, you know?
Well, first of all, it's a complicated country with a lot of varieties, with the most varieties a country actually produces. But most importantly, I love listening to you admitting, even saying, I'm not as good as there for whatever reason, and not even feeling any bad about it. Because look, this is not what wine is about. It's so complex. Look, I don't know everything either, so what? You do research.
Right.
In today's world, it's very easy. You go out, log on the internet, or you read a book, and you can learn about it. It's very simple, right? Not knowing something is not a shame. Not looking for it is a shame. And I like that attitude you bring over. It's not a big deal. Look, we talk it out, and it's perfect.
And that's it. But we also do know, like, I also don't want people to think, like, I know the type of people that make wine intimidating. I've been at tastings before and had somebody that's just a guest, not the person pouring, another guest at the event, try to explain something to me that A, I already know very well, and B, the way they're explaining it to me is extremely condescending, right? They're trying to use words that I already see that the only reason they think I don't know it is because of how I look. And that's fine with me.
Really?
Completely. I mean, I can't change people, right? So I know why you're doing it. And I just use that opportunity to go, thank you. But did you know, right? Because oftentimes that's what it is. It's like, I know when you're just saying things to try to peacock and act like you have a level of knowledge above other people. And for those people, I can also separate out when someone is genuinely trying to share knowledge with me, like, oh man, you like this? Have you tried that? Versus, do you really know this? Yes, I do. And that's okay. But that's what I love about the wine bar. And even honestly, the guests that you attract. You know, my favorite spot is at the bar. I've had so many people end up sitting down next to me or sitting across from me. And by the time an hour has passed, we've both shared what we're drinking with each other. We've had a lovely conversation. And I try to focus on that part of wine, where people that truly love and enjoy wine and are passionate about it, they want to share wine with other people. They don't want it to be exclusive. They want everyone drinking.
I mean, yes, this happens often, happens all the time. Often I think it's a chemistry problem when people, really don't connect right away. But, coming around this arrogance is an immediate sign of insecurity. And that's very easy to unhinge. And secondly, is you missed rule number one in New York. You don't know who is in front of you, and you don't know where those people are in 2 years. So you better be nice to them.
Well, the best part is when I'm being so much.
But you know what I mean, because you're too
course.
secure about it, you're too straightforward about it, and you're too candid about it, and rightfully so.
Well, the amount of times that I've had, I've been at the bar minding my business, and somebody has given me a look like what is she doing here? And then you walk in, and we start talking, and all of a sudden, the second you walk back out, oh, how do you know Aldo? How do you know? Well, if you didn't want to talk to me before, I really don't see why you want to talk to me now. Doesn't seem like anything about me has changed in the last 15 minutes. Except now, the fact that you've spoken to me somehow means that I'm worthy of a conversation. I think you're amazing. But I mean, I was fascinated. We had a conversation one time.
I talk to anyone.
You do, but we had a conversation one time where you told me about guests challenging your wine knowledge, which is ridiculous to me.
I love it though.
How do you deal? I mean, you're a lovely person, you're approachable, but you're still you. How do you deal with a guest trying to, litmus test you on wine?
I mean, listen, this is why I love my job. I love working with people because you don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what kind of people they are with. And this is kind of a game. It's a play. And you act with that. And look, of course, sometimes people want to show off in that case, for lack of a better expression. Or they want to challenge me. Listen, I go along with you. It's no problem, right? Sometimes people don't know who I am when I talk to them. Which, listen, this. I mean, you called me rock star. By all means, I'm a sommelier. I pull corks out of a bottle, and that's the artistry. If you call this artist, I don't know.
That is art.
No, it's not. But it's just, listen, listen, I enjoy my job. I love working with people, and look, you play along. I'm here to service them, and I'm here to give them a great time. And I want to make sure.
Reading people is a science, that's
you need
an
experience.
Actual skill. That's a skill.
That you don't learn in any school, no matter how good the school is. That you don't learn with any great mentor. I mean, of course, they're going to point it out, but you get this only with experience reading people, obviously not only from the exterior, but also, when I approach a table, I have 10, 20 seconds, and then I have to, read and feel the person out. I try to connect deeply. That's why often the job is exhausting, because you connect you have only a short amount of time to connect with the
Yeah.
person. If you get blinded by the exterior, come on. Life is a little bit more complicated than that. But we have
It's
actually an excellent question here, not to change it, not to
sure.
switch
Let's
over.
go.
What is the difference in style between Spanish and Portuguese wine? And this is
Hmm.
such a loaded question, because that's almost impossible to answer.
You want to try it first, or you want me to try it first?
No, because both countries, as even though on the Iberian Peninsula, they significantly different. They have a couple of overlaps in terms of grapes, but I think the climate is often very, very different. I find Portuguese grapes much harder to pronounce, because I struggle with that language a little bit. Spanish is a little bit more straightforward to read into. There's other countries which are incredibly hard. For instance, Greece, just reading those letters, or
Those
Slovenia
letters.
or Croatia, those are very hard languages to, and if you read just the grape, it's very hard to memorize if you don't know
Yeah.
how to pronounce it. So, and they're vastly different. They're almost not comparable, even though both are really interesting right now.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to compare those two, I would say that Portugal is more varietal driven, Spain is more terroir driven. Um,
Huh,
Only because I think that Portugal
really?
has a lot more indigenous grapes that I
Yeah.
can't pronounce either.
Mm.
And so it's hard to really, I mean, in Spain, Tempranillo might be called the same, different thing depending on where you are in the country, but it's still that great.
Yeah.
In Portugal, I think that there are a lot more blends, there are a lot more indigenous grapes, they're harder to pronounce. And so I think if you just drank Portuguese wines, they're delicious and approachable. They're a lot, they offer great value too, but I think that they're a lot more structured wines sometimes. That if you can't pronounce the grape, you can't pronounce the region, and there's 8 grapes in it, it's very hard to really find your sweet spot in it. Whereas I think Spain is a lot more uh, terroir driven. And I think that the grapes are things that you can memorize. Like you can know that you like Rioja, right? If you like Rioja, you can know also that you like a particular grape because that's what grows there. And so I think that Spain is a little bit easier from a consumer standpoint to get into, but I think both countries offer incredible wines at amazing value.
Yeah. Very distinct also.
Yeah.
Very distinct wines. You said
I'm having fun.
you have a stressful job. And when I see you video at the bar, you're always fully charged with energy. What wines are you drinking when you really, go in your shell and
White
just
Burgundy.
they make you happy when you're
They
all by
make
yourself? Really?
White Burgundy.
Why is
White
that?
Burgundy and champagne make me very, very happy. That's what I drink at home, predominantly. But this is the most drinking that I've ever done at home. I normally do not drink at home that much because I'm always out. But when I want to sit down and relax and unwind, it is 100% going to be either white Burgundy or champagne. I think that white Burgundy, from the most entry level ones to Chassé Montrachet, right? Um, I think that those wines, when I started drinking wine and I thought of the idea I had of California Chardonnay that were these over oaked, buttery things. And then as I started to get into Chablis, and I'm just like, man, this grape is nothing like that. These wines are intensely complex. The minerality, the balance, the texture, those wines are the wines that make me happy. And they're the wines that I enjoy the most. And when it comes to champagne, again, I am very big on texture. And I think that those two styles of wine, both white Burgundy and Chardonnay and champagne, same grapes, but I think that it's the texture that I love in those wines and how developed they can be, how good they are young, how good they are aged. Yes, when I want to unwind, it's definitely the grape's going to be Chardonnay and the wine's going to be either white Burgundy or champagne.
It's funny, the variety has often such a terrible reputation. Not
Have you
terrible,
had
maybe,
some
but
bad Chardonnay?
it has some. Yeah, it's just odd. Often, it's
Because you're
mainly
used to
because
drinking
people.
good ones.
Well, people always struggle with creamy, buttery Chardonnay, even though it was consumed quite a lot.
Yeah.
But there's so much more.
What champagnes do you love? Wow. I've been really into a lot of the grower stuff now. So from the big houses, I love Runart. I love Krug. Goddamn, I love Krug. Charles Heidsieck, those are the bigger houses. From more of the grower stuff, I love Savar. I love
Texture.
Dantian. I love exactly. I love Pierre Peters. Yeah, those are my favorites right now.
But Savar and Pierre Peters is radically different.
They are. And so one I really like with fried foods and one I really like by itself or with caviar and potato chips, right? And so sometimes the pairing is what does it for me. But I think that the grower stuff is so good. I mean, I try not to these are expensive habits. I mean, honestly.
I see on the comments we have champagne lovers
You
on the
see?
comment section
That's
here.
Kim, that's Julia. I know. But this is the point of my I mean, I know I see a lot of familiar names, and those are women of color that also very much enjoy these very, very high quality wines. And that's the whole thing, is that there are so many people, especially in a city like New York. I mean, we come to your bar, especially the girls. There's always somebody buying us a bottle for absolutely no reason because we like these things. We can talk about these wines. And, it's just good. Oh, Kelly says she missed caviar. I really miss caviar too. I called Petrosin to see if they were open because I really, really miss caviar right now.
Good, good. You drink American wine?
I do. I like very specific producers from Napa and from Oregon and Washington too. So from Napa, I love Fantasca. I love Stony Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I love Chapelet. I like some Camus. Um, Man, I like
Someone,
Schwarzberg.
someone who listens to you can see already your spectrum is all over.
Yeah,
Texturally.
it depends. It's all in what you're in the mood for. And I go out to eat a lot, so that often drives. Some nights I want to drink a wine, and so I'll pick food to go with it. Other nights I want this dish from this restaurant, and so I'll pick a wine to go with that. But I think that's the fun of it, is that you have your wines and your areas that you love, but shit,
I could
drink what you like.
I couldn't agree more with you because I often get asked, "What is your favorite wine?" I said, I don't have a favorite wine. I mean, yeah, there are some producers I really love, no question about it. But life can be so interesting. Why would I eat steak every day? Just doesn't make any sense. You want to take advantage of what the world has to offer you. Um, why not exploring it? And that's why I love, your answer, what you just gave.
Someone asked, "Are you more of a Pinot Noir or Cabernet Sauvignon person?" Um, that's a good question. From the old world,
Can I guess?
Yes,
When you talk about texture, you'd be more the Cabernet person.
I would be. Except you know how many bottles of Volnay I've consumed because
Well,
I really, really like that one. But you are correct. I like tannic wines. I like wines with texture and body. So I do probably drink more. I do think that I drink more Cabernet than I do Pinot Noir, but I love Burgundy. I really do. And I love a lot of New World. If you have not had if you first of all, if you watch Psalm 3, you know the wines I'm about to say. If you've never had Bodega Chakra Pinot Noir, you're missing out on really, 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 really good Pinot Noir. And you should buy it. We have it at Verve, shameless plug. But it's delicious. I mean,
our
I
friend Pierre,
love those wines.
I've just
And
been down
Pierre's,
there.
have you?
I've visited down there, and I have to admit, I mean, this is talking about a destination. Huh? You fly to Argentina 10 plus hours to Buenos Aires. You have to change the airport. That's another hour drive, depending on the traffic, plus minus. Yeah, yeah, to the one which goes national. Then you fly to Neuquén, which is another hour and a half flight. And then from the airport, depending how the traffic is, between an hour and a half and 2 hours to come to Bodega Chacra in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing. There
Really?
is nothing. But once you get there, once you see how everything the vineyards are maintained, when you see all the beehives he put around in order to have all the natural yeast and the right yet natural yeasts, when you see the philosophy also with his farm, what the chickens eat and what the pigs eat, and it's he closed that really biodynamic farming circle completely. You eat also like that. When you taste his honey, is like off the charts. When you
Oh,
smell on
wow.
Bodega Chakra right now, when you go to the 32 and when you go on the Chakra Chardonnay, they have now the ceiling with his bee wax
The
on.
wax, yeah.
Smell the wax, and then you get the idea. It's one of
Oh,
the craziest complete visits I've ever had. I mean, hands down. And I talked about it 2 days ago. It's a crazy visit. It's a destination. There's not much around to do, huh?
okay.
But it's stunning.
Well, now I have to talk to him once we're allowed to travel again. I have the Manique and I love that Chardonnay. It's
Yeah.
not what you would expect from Patagonia, from anywhere on that in that part of the world. But I think that this conversation, which we have all the time, like I feel so much joy just having a glass of wine with my friend and talking. But I think that these conversations are so important because seeing you discuss wine in this way, somebody watching this is has been afraid to say, well, I don't like this, or I don't know this, and now seeing that it's perfectly okay to say, shit, I don't know. What's that? Somebody asked us to discuss Chinon. Do you like Chinon?
I do. Cabernet Franc is typically not often my grape of choice because it can be often a little bit green.
Mm-hmm.
Often the tannins are a little rustic, but they're, look, like everything in life, you cannot nix everything. Life is much more complicated than that. There's some really good Cabernet Franc examples. So, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think Cabernet Franc as a grape is good. I do same. I like a lot of Chinon, but I also like the grape from other places. So I actually think that the Finger Lakes right here in New York makes great Cabernet Franc if you actually like that grape. It's way cheaper than Chinon too. But I think
Even
it's
out in
things.
Long Island, Pomona.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And so all of those things, I feel like these are the things where there's so much. If we get wrapped up in kind of just the popular, trendy things, which oftentimes are really good. So I'm not, I get to drink great wine. I am very, very grateful for a lot of the wines that I have the distinct pleasure of tasting with people like you and Dustin and Laura, that there are good wines that are not expensive from all over the world. Somebody says, Aldo Sohm, what about Pinot Noir from Austria? Is it a good red with fish?
Uh, Story of my life. um, Look, fish and red is definitely possible. Forget that rule white wine with white meat or fish and red wine with dark meat. Um, it's possible, but it depends how it's cooked. Is it poached or is it grilled or is it seared?
Mm.
Um, what sauce do you have with it? And that gives you a ton of access. Is it classic? No, but from school on, I love breaking rules. We asked once the teacher if cheating in an exam is allowed. He said absolutely. The only thing what is not allowed is being caught.
There you go.
So, no, joking aside, no, you can break that rule. And I think, look, to me personally, often at Le Bernardin, and I work with Eric quite hard on that. If you're in a tasting menu and have 8 courses, a glass of red wine is just good for the soul, no matter what.
Yeah.
It's just very comforting. It makes you feel good. I mean, look, I've done also champagne tasting where we drank entire menu champagne. It's good. I just feel like something is missing there because it's just a comforting feeling. And I like this emotional happiness. You know, you have to feel good. So red wine is certainly possible. Austrian Pinot with no question. I think Austrian red wine becomes, generally speaking, really interesting. I think climate change is helping that cause quite a little bit.
Yeah.
Same with German Spätburgunder. So
you brought up a wine that I need to you need to help me find it, or it's got to come back on the menu. I think it's called Red Light. It's in a bottle. It's like a cartoon drawing. There's a woman on the
from Uli Stein from the Mosel.
Yeah, from Spot. Yes, that is definitely a wine that you can have with fish. That is a delicious Spätburgunder. Like if anybody is afraid of diving into those German grapes that they might struggle pronouncing, you can ask Aldo how to pronounce all of them. I'm getting much better with those grapes. But I think like that is one of the wines that I haven't been able to source for myself. I love that wine. I would have that with my wine.
It comes in from Borden. Stephen Bitterloff brings it in. Yes, and Beaujolais with fish, you can make it work. Yeah, chill it a little bit, and so the tannins are coming not as upfront. You're fine.
Cherub, that crew makes lighter, and Chenas also. Yeah. I think that those crews make lighter styles that would be good with fish. Say it again. What to say again? The wine? That wine is
from Uli Stein, the red light, yeah.
Yeah, it's red light. It's from Uli Stein. It's from Mosel, and it's Spätburgunder, and it's delicious. I mean, you will drink the whole bottle. Don't even think about saving it. You will open it and drink the whole bottle. It's delicious.
Cool. Shall we give it a wrap? 48 minutes.
Yeah.
With you, this feels also natural and we could keep going.
I missed you, my friend. This is a very, 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 very nice time.
Maybe down the road, we have to get you back on the show because, again, this is like friends.
I love this. And I'm so glad that there was such good participation and people enjoyed it.
Cool. So just what is the closing question to you? What is your favorite charity? Because we're going through a little tough time right now. While we're obviously very excited about talking wines and drinking wine, who do you support right now?
So I greatly support WIN NYC. It is the oldest charity in New York supporting women and children. And that charity means everything to me because what they do is focus on helping the women get jobs and housing so that they can provide for themselves and their children. And so that's a charity that I've supported for a long time. I've raised money for them. And then right now also ROAR. Like I'm gonna post something tonight, I'm telling you all now. It broke my heart to see that this campaign to get signatures for legislation to be passed to help our restaurants that we need to reopen in a city like New York barely had 70,000 signatures. So I am telling you guys first, I'm going to post a video. I am putting up the hashtag pledge to use your influence for change. I want everybody I have barely 3,000 followers, but I want everyone, whether you have 2,000 or 20,000 followers, you need to support RAR. You need to encourage your followers to sign this petition because when we get over this, because we will, we need to make sure that the establishments that we love and the people that we love are able to restart and get back to the way things were.
Yep. And obviously, I always support City Harvest, with no question.
Yeah.
And obviously, the GoFundMe with Bernadin, my family, and Aldo Sohm Wine Bar, because there's some people in need. There's no question. Yeah. Sure. Good. On that note,
so much fun, Aldo.
Cheers to you all. Cheers to all the spectators. We have Marie Byron on tomorrow. Or Ponsonnet now. Yeah, we check in to France. We're going over the Atlantic Ocean, check in, see how they are doing. So I'm very, very excited. And get maybe her husband Cesar on. A very passionate cyclist. Yeah, so we'll see how both doing. Hopefully they have their son asleep by that time. So I want to be reasonable. Cool.
I'll be there.
Cool. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.
You.
Bye.
Bye, guys.